So the next thing we're going to do is start working on the buttons. Now, the buttons feature is only in 6 point, or this Marvelous Designer 6, 6.5 and up. So if you're using Marvelous Designer anything lower than that, this feature will not be available for you. I do definitely recommend upgrading to a newer version so that things like this will be made available to you. Some of the other concepts in this video will still apply if you do not have Marvelous Designer 6 and above. You just won't be able to do the buttons. Okay, so let's go forward. Alright, so regarding the buttons, you have in your 3D window, you have the button select tool, you have the button tool, and you have the button hole tool. Now, to connect the button and the button hole together, you have that tool right there. It's called the Fasten Button tool. So the first thing we're going to do is do the button tool. Now you can do it in 3D. You can select and place the button, but we're going to do it on the 2D pattern window. So let's go here. We're going to select the button to be roughly about here. We're going to click. Perfect, and it creates a button. Don't worry too much about the shape or the design of the button. We can always change that later. But for now, that's our default button. Now we're going to need about 7 buttons down this placket. So instead of just clicking down, they have a nice way of doing that to keep it uniform. So what we're going to do is go to the selection tool for the buttons, and we're going to select the button. We're going to right click, copy, right click, paste. Now before clicking, what you want to do is hold down the shift key and right click. Okay. When you do it that way, you're going to get this dialog box to pop up. What we want to do is change the interval to 70, and we're going to change the number of buttonholes to 7. Okay. And we're going to hit OK. And that's going to give us this line here, just like so. Alright, perfect. You can put as many buttons as you like, but this is a pretty decent number for this particular design. And what I will do in this case is maybe select all the buttons here. I hold down the shift key to multi-select, and I'm going to drag them down just a little bit. Just like so. Alright, perfect. Alright, so the next thing we're going to do is the button holes, and it's going to be very similar. We're going to click there. We're going to go to the selection tool, select, copy, right click, paste, hold down the shift key, and then right click. Change this to 70, change this to 7. As you can see, now if you want to change that offset, you can do that. That's how you would do that. Make it tighter, add more, add less. But we're going to do 70. So that matches the buttons. We're going to hit OK. Alright, perfect. Alright, we're going to do the same thing up here, but what we're going to do is just one button. So we're looking at the neck, so we're going to put a button in here and a hole here. Put a button here, and we're going to put a buttonhole here. Perfect. So that's huge. That's a huge button. But let's go ahead and change the size of that button. Just like fabric, buttons and buttonholes are going to have properties that you can edit. Okay, these properties are going to involve things like changing the shape, changing the size, the weight, the different colors of the buttons, even the name of the button. So what we're going to do here is change this button name to main button. We're going to change the size of this button to 10 instead of 20, so half the size. And we're going to do the same thing to the buttonhole. We're going to do that. We're going to go down to say 10. Perfect. And in terms of the neck, we're going to move this button over a little bit and move the buttonhole over a little bit. Perfect. Nice. Looks pretty good. Alright. Now I like to see the buttons, so what we're going to do is go to the button and change the color. So we're going to select this darker gray here, and that's going to change any button that has that particular fabric styling or property for that button. So we can see those. The buttonholes are fine the way that they are. Now just keep in mind, if you don't like the button design, you can change it to different button types. So if you like that, that's a nice button. I'm just going to go with something a little more standard, but you're free to use any type of button type you like. Alright.